Well, welcome fellow Bold Not Olders, and this is Wednesdays with Wallis at 1 p.m. and today's topic is being an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur bug. That's what it's called. It's all about being an entrepreneur, and it's titled, or the topic is, the entrepreneur bug. Now, I know a bit about this because all of my life I've been very entrepreneurial. In fact, sometimes I think, oh, it's more a curse than it is a blessing. But when I come to really think about that, then I think to myself, no, it's not. It's a great thing to be entrepreneurial. So if you're one of those people who seems to be wanting to do things, launch out on things, launch new things for yourself, be involved in new things, well then that's being an entrepreneur, and that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But you see, I'll go back a bit because I want to explain a little bit about this, because I think this is very, very important, because I figure that if I've had my struggles with this, then other people have as well. Okay, today what I've done my hair, but you know, the hat spoils it, but I've got this purple bit I put in my hair, put the hat on today, bit of jewellery, nice little bit of feathery thing here going. I've got a nice layered black things going on here, and I've got, let me reach down and get the shoes I've got on today. These are the shoes I've got on today. Aren't they beautiful? And what else have I got on? Oh yeah, these Versace style, I'll say style earrings, and of course, you know, the obligatory bling and jewelry, which I couldn't possibly be without, and you know, my beautiful Panama hat. Okay, so back to this thing about being an entrepreneur and the entrepreneur bug. When I was a little kid, when I was just a little kid, I was young, very young, just a kid. One of the things I used to do when I was a kid, always was entrepreneurial. I used to rear guinea pigs. I talked my mother into allowing me to have some guinea pigs, and I reared guinea pigs. And any of you that have had children or have done it yourself when you were younger and you've had guinea pigs, well then you know that you don't just have a pair of guinea pigs or a couple of pairs of guinea pigs. You finish up with, you know, a skrillion of them. So they used to hear me coming from school, because on the way home from school I used to get I mean a huge big area. At least my, you know, parents built me this really huge big area for these guinea pigs. They weren't in little tiny cages. They had a beautiful big area. They were really ruined and very spoiled. Beautiful they were. And and one of them was a little one I called Whitey, because it had this white fur and it went all different ways. I still remember it, and little pink eyes. It was the dearest, dearest little thing. I used to nurse it all the time. It was just beautiful. And they had babies, of course, as they do, like rabbits. They breed like rabbits. So on the way home from school every day, the people that were not far from, on the way home anyway, they weren't far from where I lived, they had a fruit and veg shop, which you don't see a lot of these days. But anyway, fruit and veg shop. And in the fruit and veg shop, they used to cut off all the ends of the cauliflowers and all the different things, clear up lettuces, you know, all that sort of stuff. So they'd save everything in one of those wooden boxes you used to get in those days for, you know, for your fruit and veg and all that sort of stuff. So they'd save all that for me. They'd put all that into a box, and on my way home from school, I'd call in and I'd pick up the food. Well, I used to come home down the street and along, we used to have a back entrance to the house on a laneway. And so I used to come along the laneway to the house, to the back of the house, and come in through the back gate. because that's where their big area was, near the back gate against that fence. So I'd come home and look, they'd hear me, they'd smell the food, they'd know, they had watches on. They didn't need eye watches, those little things, they knew the time of day, they'd know exactly what time it was, they'd know when I was coming in from school, and they know that I had the food. So they'd start squealing, all of them, at the end of when I just rounded the laneway, the few houses up from where we lived into the lane, and they'd hear me coming, and they'd never stop squealing until I got in the back gate. And when I got in, they'd all be dancing along their cage area, waiting for the food, including all the little ones that used to, dance along with them. But it didn't end there. I decided that, I had a lot of guinea pigs, and the kids at school used to ask me about guinea pigs, and they used to say that their parents allowed them to have a guinea pig. So they'd come along in those days, and it was quite a lot of money in those days. They'd come along with their 5 shillings, and they would give me 5 shillings for a guinea pig. And I'd sell guinea pigs to the kids at school. So that gave me, some pocket, and that was a lot of money, because I used to get 2 shillings, and when, the shillings and the imperial all went out, and in 1966 or whatever, and the others came in, of course, it all changed to being, dollars and cents. But in those days when I was a kid, it was shillings, pounds and shillings, and pennies. So I used to get this 5 shillings. It was a lot of money. 5 shillings was a lot of money, and I used to, hoard my money, for things that I might have wanted, or things that I wanted to do. So it was, it was quite a lot of money. So I'd sell off these guinea pigs, and life was like that for me. I always seemed, over the years, and as I got older and as time went on, I was involved in very entrepreneurial endeavours. If I wasn't, keeping pigeons and sorting out, things with pigeons, I'd be, doing this thing with guinea pigs. When the whole, venture with guinea pigs was over, then, later on I, moved on to other things. So I was always entrepreneurial, and my life and the things that I did and the businesses that I was involved in and the way in which I lived my life was very entrepreneurial. So along with that, of course, in the early years and for a great number of years, the whole, feast or famine thing tend to, be the go as well. So things would really work out at times, and I'd make a lot of money, and other time, and that'd pay all the things that, I didn't pay or couldn't pay when things were a bit tight. It's no different today for a lot of people in business. They do the same things. It's a bit feast or famine when you're in business for yourself, unless you've got something that you can really consolidate and it tends to go on and grow. But if it does this, well then, it tends to be up and down. And that's the way you live, and that's the way things are. And, that's how it was for me for a great many years. I'd do really well for a while, and then, I wouldn't for some reason, all the things that I needed to learn. So what I'm saying here is that I really get that it's not an easy thing at times to be entrepreneurial. It's not an easy thing to be an entrepreneur and to, venture out and do things. And this is very, very important as we get older, because as we get older, we become more cautious. And one of the things that's life-changing, one of the things that'll change your life totally forever, is you must take risks. You have to take risks. I'm not saying that you need to risk everything you own and end up, in the park with the dogs. you know. You don't need all of that, but you do need to take risks. You do need to step out, and you do need to step out of your comfort zone, because until you step out of your comfort zone, until you do those sorts of things, well, you're not doing anything. You're just sitting in life's waiting room. So if there's something that you have in mind, or something that you really, really like to do, well, then I'm encouraging you to do it. Big time, big encouragement. I want you to not be skittish about things. I want you to, you know, take a risk and go and do the things that you'd really, really love to do. I'm just having a little look out the window as I'm talking to you, and, you know, seeing, you know, the rain coming down again. We've had a bit of rain going on. All over the country, haven't we? And I'm going to get up just for 1 minute, and I'm going to go and shut the door. Right, back again, because if I didn't shut the door, we'd be, you know, sitting in a pile of water in the not too distant future. So back to what I'm saying. So here's the thing. I want you to think about it, because what happened with me as I got a bit older was that I got to thinking that, you know, I should have done it all earlier. Things should have happened a bit earlier in my life. I had this set thing, or set ideas about, by the time you're this age, you've done this. By the time you're this age, by the time you've done this, by the time you get to this age, you should, you know, should on myself, you should have this, and you should have done this, and you should, this should be happening, etc., etc. And that's that's a crock of. It's a load of rubbish. So I want to debunk that for you. That is absolutely not true, because the thing that's really important as you get older, regardless of anything else, is that you keep having a go. If there's something that you would like to do, and you aren't quite skilled for it, or you don't feel you're quite up to snuff for it, well then, you know, go and do a course, get a bit of training. Some of the most spectacular, amazing people in the world never got formal educations. So, you know, that was me. I thought that, you know, I did get formal education, and later on, because, you know, I had this thing about myself that, you know, I needed to, have some certificates. I needed to have, you know, degrees, or I needed to have all these things, because I needed all those, you know, to be somebody. What a crock of shit. What a load of rubbish. And I don't know where all that rubbish comes from. That society teaches us all that rubbish, forcing our kids to go to school. I never did that with my kids, incidentally, and they're all spectacularly amazing, and they've done amazing things, and they have amazing lives they've created for themselves. So I don't believe in that as a person, and that's a good thing, because I didn't push that on my kids and say, well, you must, you know, you've got to get a degree, you've got to get a degree, you've got to go to school, you've got to go to school. That's just nonsense. I left school when I was 14, because at that time I had to. And anyway, you know, the thing of my time was that girls didn't get an education. You know, the only thing that women did was get married. And, you know, that's what you were prepared for. And that's, you know, effectively what, you know, was drummed into you, and you keep being pushed into. Bit of a shame, really, that, you know, I bought into that rubbish too, and I finished up doing that. But I think that being an entrepreneur is fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous. And it means that you can have a go at things, you do things, and I want you to do that too. I don't care if it's a hobby, I don't care if it's something that you've been thinking about for ages. Don't keep putting it aside. Don't tell yourself you're too old. Please have a go at it. Go out there, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and, you know, get going, because you're never too old. And, you know, I remember watching a TEDx talk quite a long time ago, and there was a man there, and he'd had a job for years, and he finished up anyway. He left the job for some reason, the company folded or something or other, and it was in the whole, you know, recycling area, I think paper or something like that. Anyway, he was about in his 60s, and he took a couple of contractual sort of things he did, and then he finished up he decided that he would open up his own company. And by the time he raised the money, funding, and he raised the whole thing and he got other partners, it was a big concern that he was operating. And in fact, he's got a very large, big company now. And when I was listening to him, he was about 70, 71 years of age. And his big thing was that, have a go. And I'm not saying go out and set yourself up, a multi-squillion-dollar company, but if that's what you want, do it. And I'm encouraging you to. But if it's simply to have a go at something and do some things and have a go at things that you might have really wanted to have a go at in your life, don't let it slip by, because this is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. You only get one shot at it. I'm encouraging you to feed your entrepreneur bug and get on with it. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you next week on Wednesdays with Wallis. But before I go, a bit of shameless self-promotion, pop over to boldnotold.com.au and take a look at that. We've been revamping it. There's a few little things we're still doing to it. But over there, you'll be able to join the soiree, which the first one begins next month. Love to have you on board. Love to see you live on our soiree with your glass of champagne or wine in your hands. And I look forward to catching up. I look forward to having a chat with you. I look forward to sharing maybe some interior decorating, some other things that, I've been turning my hand to and doing. And I'm always changing things around me and coming up with ideas. And I'll be sharing some of those at the soiree. Come over. Join us at Bold Not Old and the soiree, and right down the bottom of the page, you can download our latest magazine for free. Catch up with you next week. Love, love, love everything. Love life, love the things you're doing. I just really, really want to encourage you. Get out there and have a go at things. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Talk soon. Bye for now.